This week about raw benching. So as a disclaimer, a couple things. One, this is only about raw benching, not about geared benching. And two, obviously I'm not the greatest bench presser ever, but I have studied this quite a bit. I've watched a lot of raw bench pressers bench very well, much better than I do. And I've spent a lot of time reading Becoming a Supple Leopard, which is an excellent book and you should pick it up. You should start getting royalties for this. So let's just focus on a few things. So I had a question from Thomas, and it had to do with tucking the elbows, and then I had a question from, I think his name was Daniel, and he was talking about vertical bar path. So I'll try to incorporate both these things in the same video, keep this pretty short and sweet. So first thing is your grip. So whether you have a regular bench grip, your competition grip, let's say, a medium grip, or a close grip. So where you touch is going to depend on that grip. Additionally, it's going to depend on your mobility. Third, it's going to depend on, and Justin and I were talking about this earlier, how much of an arch you have. If you have if you're arched very hard, let's say you're in a federation where you're able to be up on your toes, you're probably going to have a greater arch, so you're going to touch in a different place than someone who's in an IPF, USAPL meet that has to keep their feet flat on the ground. So that's going to dictate where you touch. The main thing you want to focus on when you're touching is to try to keep your forearms as vertical as possible. And then when you're pressing the bar up, like Daniel asks, to the greatest degree, yes, you want to press it vertically. I spent about the last 30 minutes watching excellent raw benches, including Eric's Photo 722, and for the most part, I mean, it's almost completely vertical. And if you think about it, if you were to press the bar, let's say diagonally, like Daniel's coach was telling him, and that's probably more appropriate for a geared bench, but not really for a raw bench. And the reason I say that is, think about it. So you bring it down, you got it, and then if you go like this, you start bringing it diagonally. What's your shoulder doing? Your shoulder is internally rotating. So that's going to make the movement more difficult. And how do I know that? Because a lot of times I'll internally rotate my right shoulder when I'm benching, especially when it gets heavier, and I tend to miss the lift. But if I'm able to keep them both in a better position, and keep my forearms vertical throughout the movement, then I generally tend to get it. So to answer Daniel's question, I don't really understand. I mean, I don't know if he's saying exactly slide diagonal. I don't know how much a slide diagonal is, but think about putting on a slingshot. And try a slingshot and see what the bar path. It's gonna keep your bar path pretty spot on. I mean, it's going to improve your bar path in the long term, especially if you practice with it a lot and do a lot of pause benching with it. But throw a slingshot on, try that, see how it feels. But no, I wouldn't say that especially not like a 45-degree angle. Anyway, and then with Thomas's question with the tucking, it's going to depend on those factors, your mobility. It's going to depend on your grip, and it's going to depend on your degree of thoracic spine extension or your arch. So it's getting pretty late. Hopefully I answered those questions as well as I could for 11 o'clock at night, but I'll talk to you guys here in a little bit.